If you woke up in an unstoppable zombie chaos, would you fight to survive or just give up? Let's see who's brave enough to answer in the comments after watching this video. Let's start. At the hospital, a doctor is confused. Why would someone need an x-ray just for a bite on the hand? He asks nurse Anna to check on the patient, and she's surprised to find out he's been moved to intensive care. That seems extreme for just a bite. After her shift, Anna goes home to her husband, Luis. They spend the night together in the shower, completely unaware that a news bulletin is interrupting TV shows with an urgent announcement. The next morning, Luis wakes up and notices their young neighbor, Vivian, standing outside their bedroom. When she steps into the light, he's horrified. Her face is covered in blood. Alarmed, he tells Anna to call an ambulance and approaches the girl to help, but in a shocking twist, Vivian suddenly lunges at him and bites his neck. Panicked, Anna pushes Vivian out of the room and locks the door while Luis collapses onto the bed, bleeding badly. She tries to stop the bleeding with a pillowcase and calls for help, but the phone lines are jammed. Outside, Vivian is still pounding on the door trying to get in. Then the unthinkable happens. Luis dies. But only for a moment. Seconds later he opens his eyes, now a zombie. He lunges at Anna, forcing her to grab the car keys and dodge his attacks as he violently thrashes around the room. She runs into the bathroom, but in her rush, she trips and falls into the bathtub. Desperate, she tries to open the window but it won't budge. Suddenly, everything goes silent. Hesitant, Anna calls out Luis's name. In response, he smashes through the door. This time, the window opens and as Anna climbs out, Luis grabs her leg. She kicks him off and jumps to the ground. Outside, chaos has taken over. People are running and screaming, houses are burning, and explosions light up the sky. Desperate for answers, Anna asks a neighbor what's going on, but instead of helping, he pulls a gun on her and warns her to stay back. Before she can react, an ambulance comes out of nowhere, slamming into the man and speeding off without stopping. Then Luis emerges from the house, now fully turned into a zombie. Terrified, Anna jumps into her car, but Luis isn't done yet. He throws himself onto the hood, smashing his fists against the windshield. Anna slams on the gas. Luis clings on for a moment before losing his grip and falling onto the pavement. Without looking back, Anna speeds away into a world that has suddenly turned into a nightmare. The town is in complete chaos. Drivers are swerving wildly, making it nearly impossible to get through the streets. Desperate people are throwing themselves in front of cars, begging for help. On the radio, the host warns everyone to stay inside, lock their doors and windows. Nowhere is safe, not even military bases. Anna struggles to navigate the madness but eventually reaches a hallway filled with explosions, crashing sounds, and terrifying sights. Zombies attacking anyone they can sink their teeth into. Suddenly, someone yanks open her car door, grabbing her. She shoves them away and tries to drive off, but in the chaos, she loses control. The car veers off the road and smashes into a tree. The world is collapsing fast. Authorities address the media, but they have no answers, no explanation for how this started and no cure. Panic spreads like wildfire. Riots break out, demanding government action. The military takes over cities, trying to contain both the living and the dead. Hospitals are overflowing and explosions shake the streets daily. When Anna regains consciousness, she finds herself face to face with a police officer named Kenneth. He makes her speak to prove she's human. With no other options, they team up. Soon, they encounter 3 more survivors who initially fire at them, thinking they're zombies. Once the confusion settles, the group shares grim news. Every escape route they've tried is overrun. The only option left? The mall. They make a run for it. As they try to break into the building, a swarm of zombies closes in. Kenneth fires at the lock and they push inside just in time. A zombie manages to grab the door, but Kenneth kicks it back, slamming the entrance shut. Inside, they switch on the lights. The mall is eerily quiet. The phone lines are dead. Searching for shelter, they come across a locked store. With no time to waste, they hurl a toilet through the window, breaking in. For now, they're safe. But how long will it last? Anna scrubs the blood off in a fountain while the others check the front doors, locked. Andre and Michael go to inspect the other exits while the rest stand guard. At the back door, Andre jumps as a zombie slams against the glass. Luckily, it's shatterproof. Meanwhile, Michael stops at the arcade, grabbing a heavy hammer from a game. He follows a strange noise behind a door, but before he can react, a zombie lunges at him, knocking him to the ground. The hammer falls and breaks. Desperate, Michael fights to keep the zombie's snapping jaws away, then stabs it through the skull with the broken handle. Back at the main entrance, Andre's pregnant wife, Luda, gets grabbed by a zombie. Kenneth knocks it away with his gun, but it turns on him instead, pushing him into the fountain. In the struggle, Kenneth gets scratched. Anna picks up his fallen gun and fires, hitting the zombie's shoulder. It's not a kill shot, but enough to buy them time. The group sprints to the elevator. When they reach the upper floor, 3 armed guards block them, demanding they leave. Tensions rise, but Anna convinces them to let them stay, though the guards take their weapons. They turn on the TV and see the world crumbling. Chaos. The only way to kill zombies? A shot to the brain. A broadcast mentions Fort Pastor is still safe and Kenneth's heart pounds. That's where his brother is. Andre takes Luda to the bathroom and notices a small cut on her arm. He brushes it off. Meanwhile, Anna searches for a first aid kit but, overwhelmed by everything, has a breakdown. Still, she pulls herself together and treats Kenneth's wound. Michael suggests reinforcing weak spots in the mall and painting an SOS sign on the roof for rescue helicopters. The guards head downstairs and find a zombie twitching in the fountain. It's one of their own. With heavy hearts, they put a bullet in his head. Then they sweep through the stores, taking down any remaining zombies. Soon after, they toss the bodies off the roof while the others finish the SOS sign. They've secured the mall. But how long can they hold out? At this height, they can see the entire town, and it's overrun with zombies. Suddenly they hear gunshots. Using binoculars, they spot Andy on the roof of his gun store. He's holding a sign that says he's alone, but then he lowers it and points to the sky. A helicopter is flying by. The group frantically waves their arms, hoping to be rescued, but the chopper ignores them and flies away. That night, the guards lock them inside a store to prevent them from stealing supplies. Michael insists they need to take action because no help is coming, but Andre believes the helicopter will return. Kenneth doesn't care about the argument. His only focus is getting to Fort Pastor to find his brother. Meanwhile, the guards relax and watch TV, where a pastor preaches that the zombies are God's punishment for humanity's sins. The next morning, the mall's automatic systems turn on, flooding the place with lights and loud music. The TV screens are now static, meaning all signals are down. Terry, one of the guards, goes to find the control panel. Anna spots him and convinces him to unlock the store so her group can use the bathroom. Terry reaches the control unit, turns off the music and checks the security cameras. That's when he sees something shocking. A truck is approaching the mall. He rushes to tell the others and everyone runs to the roof to decide what to do. Anna wants to let the survivors in, but CJ and Bart refuse to trust strangers. Terry disagrees with them, giving Michael and Kenneth the perfect chance to attack. They knock out CJ and Bart, disarm them and lock them up. While Terry leads the way, Anna and Luda make a sign to guide the truck to the back entrance. But suddenly the truck reverses and slams into the building. With zombies closing in, Andre and Michael rush outside to help. They shoot down as many creatures as they can, but eventually they run out of bullets and sprint back inside. Fortunately, the truck survivors are unharmed. They had intentionally crashed the vehicle into the mall so they could climb up and enter safely. Once inside, Anna immediately begins checking them for injuries, including a very sick woman being pushed around in a wheelbarrow. Kenneth wants to take the truck to Fort Pastor, but Steve and Norma quickly shut down the idea. They just came from there, and it's completely overrun by zombies. Frustrated, Kenneth heads to the roof, where he spots Andy, the lone gun store owner across the street. Using a sign, Kenneth breaks the bad news. The fort is gone. No help is coming. Andy responds with a sarcastic joke, making Kenneth chuckle despite the grim reality. Downstairs, Anna is busy tending to everyone's wounds. Meanwhile, Terry checks on a sick woman, only for her to suddenly stop breathing. Anna confirms she's gone, gently covering her with a blanket. But then, the woman suddenly sits up. Before anyone can react, she lunges. Panic spreads. The group scrambles backward as Anna grabs a fire poker. When the reanimated corpse gets too close, Anna doesn't hesitate. She drives the poker straight into its eye, killing it for good. Shaken, Anna puts the pieces together. The infection spreads through bites. She remembers her own husband's fate and warns the others. That's when Frank reveals his dark secret. He's been bitten. Anna wants to isolate him, but Michael and Kenneth believe there's only one option. Kill him before he turns. Anna rushes ahead to warn Frank, but his daughter, Nicole, begs for mercy. The group gives her a brief moment to say goodbye. Then Frank is locked in a room where Kenneth waits, gun in hand. Moments later, Frank turns, and Kenneth pulls the trigger. Days pass. The group tries to stay sane. Kenneth plays chess with Andy by writing moves on signs. Bart and CJ play cards in the security office. Anna and Michael watch old movies. Nicole and Terry bond while stargazing. Steve, meanwhile, spends his time either playing rooftop golf, hitting balls into the zombie horde below, or getting up close and personal with Monica. Outside, the undead swarm around the mall in growing numbers. Inside, the survivors pass time by writing names of specific zombies on signs, and Andy picks them off with his sniper rifle. His aim is flawless. One evening, they gather for dinner, sharing stories of the loved ones they lost. Laughter and sorrow mix in the candlelight. But then the lights flicker. And die. The power is out. Andre rushes to check on his wife, Luda, who has been growing weaker by the day. He's kept her tied to the bed, hoping she'll get better. Meanwhile, 4 men grab flashlights and head for the generator room. As they move through the darkness, they spot something unsettling, blood smeared on the walls. Then they hear it. A sound in the shadows. Weapons raised, hearts pounding, they prepare to shoot. Then a figure steps into the dim light. It's just a dog. Michael calls the dog over, and at first, everything seems fine. But then the dog starts barking. Out of nowhere, a zombie drops from the ceiling and attacks Bart, sinking its teeth into his neck. The commotion draws even more zombies who appear at the end of the corridor. The group takes off running, but Bart is already doomed. He's left behind as zombie food. Kenneth and Michael hurry to open a gate, and CJ smashes a zombie in the face to buy time before slamming the gate shut and locking it with a padlock. The zombies desperately try to climb over, so the group opens fire. But their ammo is running low, and when one zombie falls, part of the gate collapses with it. Thinking fast, Michael spots a fuel pump. He douses the zombies in gasoline and CJ tosses a lighter. Flames erupt, engulfing the creatures in a massive explosion. Meanwhile, Andre watches as Luda takes her final breath. Heartbroken, he kisses her goodbye. But then he notices something terrifying. Her pregnant belly is still moving. Before he can react, Luda suddenly wakes up, as a zombie. Moving carefully, Andre wraps a belt around her mouth to stop her from biting while she gives birth. At the same time, Norma realizes she hasn't seen Luda in a while and goes to check. What she finds is horrifying. Andre holding a baby while zombie Luda snarls in the bed. Instinctively, Norma shoots Luda. Furious, Andre fires back. A deadly shootout erupts and in the end, both of them fall. The rest of the group rushes in, just in time to hear Norma's final words. Terry considers shooting her to prevent her from turning, but Anna reassures him. She died from the gunshot and won't come back. Then they check the baby, and to their horror it's a tiny zombie. There's only one thing left to do. After dealing with the bodies and fixing the generator, Kenneth tells the group that waiting to die is worse than death itself. Anna agrees. She refuses to die trapped in the mall. Michael comes up with an idea. There are 2 buses in the garage. If they reinforce them, they might have a chance to escape. Steve jokes about sailing off in his boat, but the group realizes it's actually a solid plan. Reaching an island might be their only hope. Determined, everyone gets to work, using every tool they can find to armor the buses. The long hours of labor wear them down, but when they finally take a break, Anna and Michael share a quiet moment. And for the first time they let their guard down. The group is running low on ammo, but they plan to pick up Andy, who should have extra guns. Kenneth signals him about the plan, but Andy replies with one word, hungry. That's when Kenneth notices how much weight he's lost. The group still needs time to finish preparing the buses, but Andy won't survive without food. Then they get an idea. The dog was untouched during the last attack. Maybe the zombies ignore animals. So they load up the dog with supplies and a radio, then send him over. Their theory is right. The dog moves through the horde without a single zombie attacking him. But when Andy opens the dog door, the zombies reach inside trying to grab him. He shoots them back and shuts the door, but it's too late. He's been bitten. Nicole panics. Without hesitation, she jumps into a truck and speeds off to rescue the dog. She parks right in front of the gun shop and runs inside while zombies swarm the vehicle. The group listens over the radio as Nicole rescues the dog, but Kenneth checks the store rooftop and sees something horrifying. Andy is already a zombie. His sign is now smeared with blood. Inside, Nicole hides trying to avoid Andy. The group knows they have to save her, and this is also their only chance to grab more guns. A few men head through the sewers, leaving Steve at the entrance to stand guard. When they reach the street, zombies attack immediately, forcing them to open fire. Kenneth takes down several, but one zombie yanks the gun right out of his hands. They rush to the truck, barely making it across, then crawl through the dog door just before the zombies can reach them. Inside, they grab as many weapons as they can carry. Following a blood trail, they find Andy pounding on a door. Kenneth hesitates, then apologizes before putting a bullet in his friend's head. Nicole is finally safe. Now they have to get back. CJ rushes to the roof and throws down a fuel tank, shooting it midair. Boom. A massive explosion sets the zombies on fire. While the creatures burn, the group charges through the street, gunning down anything still moving. They barely make it back to the sewers, but just as they do, a group of zombies pushes Tucker. He falls into the hole, landing hard. His leg snaps. And the nightmare isn't over yet. CJ tells the others to keep moving while he stays behind to help Tucker. But the zombies start jumping into the sewers too. CJ shoots a few before handing Tucker the gun so he can cover them while CJ drags him forward. But there are too many zombies. They reach Tucker, tearing into him. In agony, Tucker begs CJ to end it. With no other choice, CJ shoots him in the head before rushing to catch up with the others. The group finally reaches the mall door, but Steve is nowhere to be seen. Meanwhile, the zombies are climbing the stairs, closing in fast. The men open fire, trying to hold them off, until Anna suddenly appears and lets them inside. But there's no time to breathe. The zombies are wedging themselves in, keeping the door from closing. The only option is to run. Once they reunite with the rest of the survivors, they rush to the elevator with the dog, barely closing the doors before the zombies reach them. The moment they step into the garage, they find Steve, safe and sound. Furious, they insult him before splitting into 2 groups and jumping onto the buses. The only way out is to smash through the garage gates. As soon as they hit the streets, zombies swarm the vehicles, slowing them down. The survivors fire through the windows, and Steve even grabs a chainsaw, slashing through the undead. But the horde is still too thick. Thinking fast, CJ throws a fuel tank and shoots it. Boom. The explosion clears a path, and the buses speed through town, dodging wrecked cars. Suddenly, Kenneth spots a zombie clinging to the side of the bus. He swerves hard to shake it off, but in the chaos, Glenn loses control of the chainsaw, sending it straight into Monica. The bus crashes against a fence, flipping onto its side. The second bus circles back to help, but Steve, selfish as ever, picks up a gun and refuses to assist Kenneth. Steve steps out on his own, only for a zombie to pounce on him. Meanwhile, Anna discovers the brutal aftermath of the crash. Both Monica and Glenn are dead. Before she can process it, Steve reappears, but now he's a zombie. Without hesitation, Anna shoots him in the head. Terry kills another zombie that was clinging to the bus, but the gunfire draws a massive horde. The team fights to hold them back while Anna frantically searches Steve's body for the boat keys. She manages to shoot a few zombies herself, and with the others covering her, she makes it back to the bus just in time. Michael pulls her inside while CJ fights off the creatures at the door, giving them just enough time to shut it. The The bus speeds off, crashing through a gate to reach the pier. It nearly plunges into the water but gets stuck on the edge. The survivors waste no time and run toward the boats, but the zombies are right behind them. CJ soon finds himself surrounded. With no way out, he blows up his last fuel tank, taking the zombies down with him in a final sacrifice. As the others prepare to leave, Michael reveals he's been bitten. He says goodbye to Anna, then pushes the boat away. Once they're at a safe distance, he takes his own life. Anna, Kenneth, Nicole, Terry, and the dog are the only ones who make it out alive. While sailing, they find another boat, only to discover a zombie inside, which they quickly take down. Days later, out of fuel and with rotting food, they finally reach an island. But to their horror, it's crawling with zombies too. That all for the video. Now tell me, would you survive this? I don't think so.